It's December 2024, a time where usually once every 2 years we would receive a new master rule. We had pendulum summoning, link summoning, and probably the best reversion and fix for Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Rule 2020 revisions, making it so that we didn't have to summon fusion, synchros, and xyz into link zones. Yeah, some people actually don't know that's how it used to be. I asked you on social media what your thoughts and predictions are for a potential future master rule. Will we get the third scale? 5 summon per turn cap? Deck masters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Or nothing at all because this game absolutely does not need more complexity. Here are some of my favorite answers. Twice the space in the side deck, but it's permanent. Example, if you board in Dark Ruler, you can't board it out. Okay, so game 3, when I go first, I have to keep Dark Ruler. And they must remain in your main deck for the rest of the tournament. Not just the match, the tournament. How the f*** are you policing this? Remove the extra deck and put it in the main deck. You want to make the link one? You gotta draw it. Okay, but like, what if I draw access codes? What does that mean? Like, can I normal summon it? Like, how does that work? At the start of each round, both players' main decks are combined together and shuffle. Then each player is dealt cards from this new deck until all cards have been dealt. And then the game begins. Alright, so we're going to shuffle up both our decks together and then draw 5 cards. And, yep, that's the game. Hand traps should go in their own separate deck. What the fuck? Each player draws 1 first turn and player 2 draws 2 but 1 less main deck card. Max 2 copies with its own ban list. Details need work, but yeah, details need work. Details need work. Summon restriction on extra deck per turn. Would completely kill some decks, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Thanks, Leo. As long as you're willing to make that sacrifice, I guess it's all good. All spell trap zones except field zones are pendulum zones. The extra deck is now 16. That's very specific. Each player can mulligan twice, keeping 2 cards before shuffling the rest. Wait, what? So I can draw 5, keep 2 cards, shuffle the rest, keep 2 cards, shuffle 1 more back. Brother, just say you can pick your hand at this point. Just let people pick their hand at that stage. Before the duel, both players can agree to roll 5 dice each. If one rolls 5 of the same number, they automatically win. What are you talking about? Life point totals are gone. Games are determined by deck size. For every 500 life points you would take, rounded up, mill that many cards to the graveyard. What is the point? It's like you guys are making alternative formats or Yu-Gi-Oh! For no real reason other than because it's funny. Like, none of these things are fixing problems with the game. If you play Modern, Horus, Bestios, Castor, and or D-Shifter in your deck, a person dressed up as Seto Kaiba commands a surgeon to immediately remove a kidney from your body without anesthesia. So does Konami have to, like, hire a registered surgeon for each tournament around the world, right? Like, how do we fund this? I just want to know the logistics, okay? I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I just want to know, like, how it would practically unfold, you know? Once per duel hand traps playable from the extra deck. Do you know what an extra deck means, and do you know what the hand means? You don't have to draw them, and your opponents will always have to play around. Permanent Ash Blossom. Ace Monster Zone. It's the field center zone, but only one monster can occupy it at a turn. We print these cards with effects that change one key rule of Yu-Gi-Oh! In some way, i.e. when effects become if effects during your turn and so... Brother, you don't need to create a new zone and a new type of card to fix timing. Just change the rule of timing. Why did we go around the point like this when we could have just addressed the point? You can only use 1 Omni Negate per turn. You have to banish face down cards on the graveyard banishment if they are over 6, like hand size. Oh, that's a cook. You know, these decks just abusing the graveyard with all of their, like, infinite follow-up and disruptions and extenders from the graveyard. Just limit the graveyard size. I don't hate that. Infernoid unplayable instantly. Oh no, Infernoid's unplayable? Anyway. During turn 1 and turn 2, there is no draw phase and battle phase. I don't know about draw phase, but battle phase is interesting. Okay, low-key, this makes going first even more powerful, so you have to maybe add 1 more in there. If you get rid of the battle phase for turn 3, that's interesting. That's interesting. The limit 3 and 2 from Duel Links to TCG. Interesting thought experiment, never gonna happen, but it would be interesting to put some hand traps limited to 3. An example of this is Ash Blossom and Imperm to 3. You can only play 3 Ash Blossom, 0 Imperm, 2 Imperm, 1 Ash Blossom, total of 3, etc, etc. It's interesting. I don't know if it does much, really, other than make the game more complicated unnecessarily. Very hard to police as well, deck building wise. Judges during the entry of an event gonna have to sit in front. Pen zones back on the wings. 1 special per source per turn. But only 1 special from the hand, 1 from grave, 1 from deck, 1 from extra. Guys, just say you want to play Invoked. Link X can count for a Link X, but it has to be a different name, type, and attribute. Oh, that's so arbitrary. It's just like so random. The 1 summon per source is interesting, but my god, is that gonna slow the game down. Sorry, man, I don't like that. You either get 1 normal summon or any number of normal sets. If you set even 1 monster, you lose your normal summon for the turn, plus flip decks need the speed boost. I like it, honestly. A little bit, you know, complicated. We can simplify it down more by just letting it be you can set as many monsters as you want per turn. I think that's fine. I don't really see the issue with that. Oh no, I get to set 5 monsters turn 1? Man-Eater Bug, Crawler, best deck, let's go. You can pen from the extra to unlinked main monster zone, but the extra deck is always capped at 15. Once you hit 15, all your pens go to the grave instead of face-up extra. Interesting. So it forces Pendulum to play less extra deck cards if they want to fill up their extra deck and pen the monsters up. Kind of like awkward and hard to police, but I think it would help Pendulum more than hurt them. You have less cards in your extra, but you get to do the crazy thing, which was what Pendulum was always good at. Return the extra deck to 30 cards. Extra deck was never 30 cards. It was infinite or 15. It'll help when adding ritual monsters to the extra. It gives Cash Uni more options to choose from and players more headaches. And it helps heroes. Average MBT fan. Flip the script on once per turn effects and make you can only use each effects of this or that once per turn, and you can only activate so-and-so once per turn. That assumed baseline. Everything is hard once per turn unless specified otherwise, and I mean everything. Man, you just don't like fun. Only allow siding once in a best of 3 set after game 1. This way you can side things that are good in the matchup, but there's a real downside to siding in generic blowout floodgates for first or board breakers that only work going second. Guys, we don't need to change the rules to get rid of powerful cards. I think a lot of these suggestions can be alleviated by you guys understanding that if we just ban some of the broken cards, we don't need to change the rules to fix these broken cards. We could just ban the floodgates. We could just not have those cards exist. Before Grass was unbanned, I had the idea of raising the maximum main deck limit to 100. Spot the tier player. But also grant you the ability to run 1 more card in your extra deck for each 10 cards you went over the 40 minimum. Why? Why? Like, what is the point? Why? Oh, I guess Konami get to sell more cards, you know? They make more money because you have to buy more cards. Instead of a ban list, you have deck capacity, which cannot exceed 100%. All cards have 0% except powerful cards. For example, Ash Blossom is 10% per copy. Effect Veiler 5%. New decks have no limits, so they need to power creep as hard. Many cards could be unbanned. Pot of Greed 90%? Maybe? Sounds like a funny, like, side draft game. Main game? I don't know what's wrong with you. You can synchro summon from the deck. How? Oh, you mean use the materials in your deck. Cool. You're an idiot.